Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. If this is your first time tuning in, please click like, subscribe, share, comment. Not in that exact order, but also don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Back with us today, you may remember her, an Abductee's Extraterrestrial Journey. Natural-born visionary, starseed, clairvoyant healer with many gifts, including remote viewing, remote touching, hearing, conversation, seeing, and communicating with spirit, as well as very detailed visions and dream messages. Gloria can physically and telepathically teleport to other places and dimensions. She's helped people and law enforcement find missing loved ones. She has experienced multi-dimensional contact since she was a child. This contact includes interactions with over 20 extraterrestrial beings and many other dimensional beings. She's an award-winning best-selling author, recently written her first book, Life as a Starseed, a Gray Hybrid. Her book, My Journey as a Gray Hybrid. She also hosts Celestial Encounters with Gloria Haas, a podcast on the Rumble channel. Let's welcome back to the seance, Gloria Haas. That was a little bit of a tongue twister. I'm like, wait, I'm repeating myself there. I was like, Welcome back, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Paul. Thank you for having me back.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome. You always have some very intriguing stories to share, intriguing encounters to share, and experiences. And we've been kind of, throwing stuff around on the wall and see what sticks over the course of the last, I'd say, probably year and a half. And things have gotten interesting, right?
Oh, to say the least, yes. And some things you throw it to see if it's going to stick, and it goes through the wall, and you're just like, "Oops, is that a portal?"
Right. So let's bring people back in time as get refamiliar with you. So let's go back, and so intuitively, how long has this been happening for you?
I would say my first intuitive encounter, I believe I was like maybe 4.5. And my parents, we were moving from Indiana to California in one of those 1950-something cars with the big, huge back bench seats that are about the size of a twin bed, and the hump between, between the left side and the right side of the car that you can stand on. Yeah. And we were, my parents were in the front seat, and my dad was telling my mom we're on low on gas. And he said, we've never been down this road before. He said, I don't know if we're going to make it. And it was one of those really steep declines and inclines. You're talking about these heavy metal cars, not these fiberglass, but the cars that are made out of very heavy metal. My mom said, do the best you can. And my parents are in, their 20s at the time. And my dad said, well, I'm going to go past the speed limit to try and make it up. You see how fast we can make it up, because just coasting down the hill won't get you up the hill. My mom said, well, let's do it. And I'm holding on. I go, Dad, he goes, what? I go, you don't have to worry. There's a gas station at the top of that hill on the left side. So when you get up, well, on his side of the car, you know, I don't know left from right that well. I said, on your side of the car. And he looked at my mom and she looked at me and he goes, how do you know that? I said, I see it. Can't you see it? And he goes, no, but your eyesight's better than mine. And my mom goes, just go with it. My dad goes, well, sit down in the seat. This is before seatbelts. Sit down in the seat and, you know, just, you know, and stuff. So my dad goes flying down, goes up, and immediately on the left, there was a gas station.
Wow.
And we get out. My mom said, I'm going to take the kids, my half brother and I'm going to take the kids, you know, to the bathroom. So I just start walking ahead. We get in there. I'm holding my mom's hand. And then I just start walking because she was going to ask where the restrooms were. She said, Gloria, where are you going? I said, I'm going to the bathrooms. They're over here. Mom followed me and there were the bathrooms.
Wow. Wow. Intriguing. Very. I'm sure after that's the thing. How did it? I mean, did it take time for that to sink in? Going, okay, there's something special about you, or did it just? I mean, it just. They didn't think anything of it. Well, okay, she's.
It freaked my dad out, and because he wasn't brought up with any of this stuff, and my mom's side of the family, they, you know, were into tarot cards. And stuff like that. And ESP, they called it back then, instead of psychic, they called it ESP and everything. And she was just watching and wondering. She just, you know, said that. And then we got back in the car and my dad just looked at my mom like, what's going on here? She said, Gloria, Norman, we won't ever speak of this to anyone again.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to talk about it. And even with my mom's best friend, Marge, her mother always claimed to be a card reader and a palm reader. And she was telling me, I remember, you're going to be going on a long trip. Yeah. And I looked at my mom and then I said, are we? She said, not that I know of. And then a few months down the road, my mom and dad had been talking about going back to Indiana from California to visit his mom. And they said, well, I guess we're going to be taking a long trip. And I said, see, Marge's mom was right. And he said, Gloria, I was talking with her. And I said, did you tell her? And my mom at that point, was she going to lie or tell the truth? Because I had my faith in Marge's mom that she was supernaturally like a superhero.
Yeah.
And my mom said, no, I did not tell her. So I don't know if my mom was lying or telling the truth. But a couple of other times when I saw Marge's mom, she read my palm and would tell me things intuitively. And my mom put a stop to that. She wouldn't let me near Marge's mom again, not alone. And she wasn't allowed to speak with me like that. And I remember the last time I saw her mom, she hugged me and she said, you're special. And don't you ever forget it. So she knew.
Yeah. So the get into the extraterrestrial encounters that what's the first encounter that you remember growing up?
As a human, my first encounter was of a dismembered horse. And was walking down the street with one of my girlfriends and we saw it. Wasn't that far from where I lived. We were going to go to the park, which was only a couple of more blocks, actually a quarter of a block from where we were. We had to go past my house first. And we saw it. We saw the dismembered horse. Then it vanished by the time we went to get our moms, long story short. But we came back, there's only an outline of blood, which our moms thought that we pulled this prank. Both got put on restriction, but I was the only one left standing by this because my girlfriend and her mom were headed down the street and my mom said to give her a few minutes before she got into the house to cool off. And I looked up and I saw the bottom of the gray saucer.
Whoa.
And I said, what did this horse ever do to you to deserve this? I'm 10 years old and I'm just 9 or 10. And I'm just like, I was not happy.
Wow. Huh.
Yes.
Let's move forward in time. As you progressed and got older and stuff, did these started to get more did this get more common, or was it quite random?
Actually, there came a point of they stopped when I think I was like 11 and didn't pick up again till I was 20 years of age. So there was a long gap in there that I didn't see them, but I always felt like somebody was watching me.
Yeah.
It was eerie.
Yeah. Now when did you feel that you've kind of crossed the bridge to where it's like, okay, there's more to this other than just experiencing physically in this lifetime these events and these encounters? There's more to this story.
I had been having, throughout my life, I've had what I thought were weird dreams. And come to find out, they weren't weird dreams, they were memories. But when everything started coming back to me, I was still having the experiences. And how can you explain being impregnated by an extraterrestrial, having a baby that disappears? And I put it out of my mind because back in the 1970s, mid-70s, I would have been institutionalized.
Yeah.
And I was married at the time to my husband at the time, and he had had a vasectomy. And I was still pregnant, and he was completely sterile. Yes. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And I go to the doctor, and it's a viable pregnancy.
Yeah.
And my doctor wanted to know who the lucky man is because he didn't like my first husband. I'm like, there isn't anyone. I have not had sex with anyone. And he's like, Gloria, there's only one way you can get pregnant.
Yeah.
and I started regressing and just blocking things down because I thought, well, am I going crazy? Am I thinking about these things? So I just blocked things out. And I always knew that I came here for a purpose, and I always knew what that was. But I got malady in 2018. I'm not doing this anymore. I have stopped, and I'm not writing any more books. People aren't listening to me. They think I'm crazy. I've had enough.
Yeah.
And just about anything, not necessarily talking about extraterrestrials, but I've even in the mid-1970s to 1980s, backtracking, my husband at the time, who I was married to when I got impregnated, we went to a past life regression, and Bruce was leading it. I would love for him and his wife to still be alive. I really would. I would love to talk with them. They were so into this and the Edgar Cayce Foundation.
Yeah.
And he regressed me, and my skin turned red, my hair turned black, my eyes turned blue, and I was regressed back to the Mayan civilization. And here I'm thinking, they're all wacko, but an entire room of people, 20 people, saw all this happen. And the guy sitting to my left, his eyes were like really huge, and he goes, I'm getting out of here and never coming back. But I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I didn't really put two and two together. It's like, I'm not sure if this is real, but these things are happening, but maybe I am going crazy. And so then I just went ahead, and we'll fast forward to 2018. That's when I got my head injury. It was just enough to damage a lot of my brain to the point I should have been a quadriplegic the way I landed on the sidewalk face first, but I wasn't. So they knew what they were doing. It put me back on track to what my mission is here and going forward. And I said, if you are real, I need more memories of my life.
Yeah.
You're having me write a book that I only have sketchy memories of. And that's when everything came forward. I met my 3 extraterrestrial children. Come to find out, I had already had interaction with them when I was in my early 30s living in California. And the 3 beings, I thought they were imps because I didn't know what they were. And I called the pastor's wife, and she called a friend of hers who was a Wiccan and said they are imps. Come to find out, they were my 3 extraterrestrial children. I'm talking like 2 feet high, and laughing and giggling, and running away, ringing the door, actually knocking on the door. Yeah. And I open it up, and then they're like, hee, 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 and run away. And they would even join me at work. And I was working at Johns Hopkins University, and I got fired from that job. Thank God it was only a temporary job. Yeah. That they wreaked havoc there. And they were, children are mischievous. I'm like, stop it. And then I said, go away and don't come back, please. Thinking they were imps, and they were my kids.
Wow.
Yeah. But then I was had my extraterrestrial mate contact me, and he asked if I wanted to see the kids. This is October of 2022, I believe. And I said, no. What I'm thinking, what if they abduct me? What if they take me? What if I never come back? I had my dog because it was 2022, October 2022. I still had my dog, Bella. And it's like, what will happen to Bella? I'm more concerned about what will happen to my dog than, if I don't have my dog, it's like, now take me, please. And for everyone who wants to know, Bella passed away April of 2023. So I didn't just
almost
get rid of her. Yeah. The year coming up. So
wow, time goes by fast, doesn't it?
I know.
It doesn't seem that long.
No, it doesn't.
Really does not. It seems like it was only a couple months ago.
I know.
For those who are listening or watching, you'd be like, man, how well do you know Gloria? But believe me, we talk quite a few. We pass ideas back and forth and stuff like that and whatnot. But yeah, we've been friends for a while. Long distance too. She's in Arizona, I'm in Florida.
I'm old enough to be his mom, and we're just going to leave it at that. Yeah, right. We are just friends.
Yeah. But yeah, at time and that's the thing. That seems like it's happening a lot more now. It just seems like time is really, really going quick to the point where it's like, what that seems like yesterday, but it was like a year. But
I know. I called for a transportation ride. I have to call for him. I'd like to get 7 days ahead of time because they're low on drivers. And I am making the appointment. I said, wasn't it just 2 days ago? It was January 1st? Right? Months later, and it seems like January 1st was just yesterday. But yet, I hope this summer goes by just as fast as the rest of the year because it gets to be it's really hot during this time of year.
Oh, yeah.
Blistering hot. But the interesting part about time is that you and I had talked about this before, and I had messaged a friend of mine who works with dragon energy because I had seen a dragon, and I was explaining it to her, and I said, but it seemed like my life was happening the same time I was living it here on Earth. Back in another multi-dimension, another galaxy, another planet. And that's what she said she was getting. But it seemed like it was just yesterday. But when my father's, not my Earth father, but my father from this other life, his dragon came to me And I recognized him right away. I saw his eyes, saw his face. And it was like I was there physically hugging him,
Yeah.
holding him, holding his face and him closing his eyes. And it was like having part of my life that I loved back. And I
Yeah.
had someone say, well, life is always greener. I said, no. While life then had its different types of struggles in a different time, it was so much better than life now. And then my personal dragon from this time had already come to me, and I was crying and so upset that my dragon physically cuddled around me. I was laying in bed, put his tail underneath me, held me to his stomach, and I could feel him just like a big puppy dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just holding me, and I could physically feel him.
Wow. Amazing. I feel
It is. It is. And you know, you're talking to someone who never believed in past life. No, we're not having a past life. What are those? Are they past lives or are they just other lives? We're all energy, and somebody had told me my energy has been around for a very long time, since close to when God was bringing all of this energy into being. I was almost a part of that from the beginning.
Yeah.
And she said, you have been here through the ages, through the times.
Yeah. Yeah. That consciousness, that conscious energy that from the beginning of creation.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we've got you brought to the table today a couple photos, or photos of some holographic data that you would like to share. Before I pull the first one up, explain what these will be, what these are.
Okay, there is one of the pictures. It looks like, I'm bringing it up on my computer. It's with the mountain range, and it looks like it was taken on January 20th. January 30th of 2024 at 1820 hours. And there's a bunch of clouds. And what that is that I act like a spoiled brat at times with the extraterrestrials. And I'm like, everyone else is seeing motherships. Can I see one, please? Because I hadn't seen I had seen a real mothership in 2018. And then I'm looking at, I hear, go to your bedroom window. And this is a picture that this is the view.
Now this was the third one that I pulled up before before our show, right? The one that's like zoomed out a little bit, kind of.
It looks like clouds.
Oh.
No, I sent you that back in January.
Oh, that one. Oh, I don't have that one. I do have it, but not loaded. But
okay, it was.
But yeah, explain it. What we could do is I can share it in the media.
Okay.
The broadcast.
And I took a picture of this, and then I sent the picture off to somebody who has expertise with holograms and pictures. Come to find out, what I had seen was a hologram of a mothership, and these were the three pictures he sent me. The two purple ones and the black and white one that you just loaded.
Let me put that first one. That one.
That one. If you look, where my name is, and if you go up about just under what looks like a panel, and it looks like there is a little, like a black eye.
Yeah.
That is an extraterrestrial.
Huh.
That was on the ship. That's a hologram of the extraterrestrial on the hologram ship.
Oh, wow. Oh. And it kind of zooms in on it.
Right. And you can see it better. And it's a reptilian.
Huh. Oh. Okay. I think I can. Okay. Yeah.
It
Now
looks like
now
a
I can
little
make it
tiny
out.
body. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's this one here. It kind of,
That's even more close up with, the gray
yeah.
and white contrast.
Huh. Wow. Cool. Go back to that for that.
And now if you look at behind and up of where the extraterrestrial is, that is a panel, one of the panels on the spaceship.
Mm.
And what you see down underneath is the different layers. It looks like you're going into a cavern at the bottom of the picture.
Yeah.
Those are the different layers of the hologram.
Oh, okay. Huh. That is cool. That is cool. Huh. So, what are your... It's been a lot of talk going on, lately. Not lately, but for quite some time. We've got, a lot of, videos coming out, pictures coming out everywhere. I mean, every country, every continent. There was even a commercial that was interlaced with the last Super Bowl. Interestingly enough, I think it was Scorsese and his daughter put it together or something like that. It was like, it seems to be a little bit of a programming, so to speak. Interesting programming. What are your thoughts as to our current state, our current global affairs, and the possible, lack of a better word, motivations that might be going on with the extraterrestrials? And is there more than one race involved?
Oh yeah, you have a lot of races, beings that are involved with the different species, and they are accelerating their time here. They're accelerating by showing people more of their spaceships, following people, and some are like overseers, making sure that people are okay, especially the people who are sharing their stories. They want to make sure nothing happens to these people. And there are other people with increased abductions that have just started the last couple of years. And they're showing themselves to people to say, hey, we are real. And there is an increase in the different types of spaceships that are being seen. And it was like, I had called, you can call in orbs into your home. And I called in the orbs one night to see if it would work, and nothing showed up. The next day, I'm on transportation and they're dropping someone off at the park because they're volunteer there at the park. And I looked up at the pinnacle of the top of the building, and there's this big, huge white sphere that showed itself. And I went to get my phone and it went out. So I did call them in, but they have their own time and place what they want to do.
Yeah.
But this is the one side. But then we have the powers that be on Earth that are orchestrating their own thing. And they want people to be afraid of the extraterrestrials. Yes, we have nefarious, and yes, we have good guys and bad guys to make it easy for people.
Yeah.
And we have that in every culture with people here on Earth. So why would it be different, with extraterrestrials and other metaphysical, multidimensional beings?
Yeah.
And it's not any different. So I believe, like with the Super Bowl, they're bringing their own agenda. The people are bringing their own agenda. And I think there might be some false flags, which we've already seen with the holograms and everything else, because the government is into controlling us. And whatever means they use fear is the biggest one. And here are the extraterrestrials saying, hey, we're on your side. We want you to win. We're the good guys. So it's like a big fight.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
like a race.
Boxing. Yeah, it's a boxing match where, you got one contender's people on one side of the stadium, and then you've got the other contender's people on the other side of the stadium. Kind of cheering back and forth and kind of betting on who's going to win.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of funny too. I had this, I wouldn't say an epiphany. I just had this like quick vision, like what we're talking about right now. 50 years from now, it would be history. People like watch this show somewhere and be like, really? They're talking about aliens, and it's already happened. They're walking among us. Everybody recognizes them, and it's common day. It's common life.
But that's going to be in their history class.
Right? Remember this show?
Gosh, what they put themselves through.
Yeah.
But they're already, it's the humanoid extraterrestrials have been not programmed like a robot, have been trained on how to fit into society for many years. Mm-hmm. And sometimes at night they come out and to get acclimated, to get their body acclimated to what's going on. And there are also extraterrestrials walking around condominiums, apartments and everything. I've seen pictures of them by somebody I know, I can trust, that they took them from the inside of their condo.
Wow.
Their apartment. And they're walking the grounds.
Wow. I think it's the other way around too, is like we're trying to be, they're trying to acclimate us to be ready for the coming, so to speak, or the coming out of the closet, so to speak. Bad representation, but but I mean, look at all this. I mean, for years, this predictive programming. I mean, remember V back in the 80s when V came out, that miniseries? Long ago. That was my favorite. Alien Nation back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I didn't see that one.
That was a television show. And that was like, it's interesting. Gotta watch it. It's awesome.
I may have seen it, but don't remember it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it just goes on forever. It's throughout our entertainment everywhere, to the point where it's been happening for so long that when it does happen, we're going to be like, oh, really? I told you. You're like, whoopee-doo. For us to be able to easily accept it. But do you feel, and I've heard this too, is that we're running out of time, that there is a timeline, so to speak, that the world governments our world has to accept there's going to be a time when they have to make themselves known because of something that is going to happen to have to save Earth.
I believe there will be. I believe there will be. If when I pause, it's because I'm waiting to see for a direction on the instruction on there is a timeline, and I would say it's probably within up to the next 3 years, if it's even that long. But some people believe it would be shorter, depending on people and their acceptance. But it's getting to the point with synthetic 3D printers, with synthetic food. This is so reminding me of the movie Soylent Green,
yeah.
And it's like, even Bill Gates bought up a lot of the cow industry farms because he says that cow dung is green gas and it's destroying us. And that's a bunch of hooey. We've had cows for how many years? But look at look at the manipulation even of the weather that's been happening. And that's not extraterrestrials. That is what's going on, I believe, with the government. And it's been going on for some time. And years ago, my cousin lives in a really small town in Indiana. And we were talking on the phone. And he said, did you just see on the news the stuff that was going on? I said, what do you mean? He said it was raining gelatin substance. And we're talking like in the 1980s, 1990s, all over the ground. And animals were eating it and dying. So the local veterinarian went and got some of the animals, drew blood, took tissue samples, got some of the gelatin, and she locked everything up. And when she came into work with the next day, her office had been broken into and everything confiscated.
Whoa.
What is that? Yeah.
Yeah, what's that tell you?
Mm-hmm.
Tells you a lot.
And that's what, 40 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, weather modification has been going on since the late 50s, early 60s. So you were using it in Vietnam.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's not a new technology. So, but yeah. So before we wrap up the show, where can people find you? Where they can find your media? And actually, let me bring up the website real quick. That way people know where it is. You do have a link tree that they can go and find all of your information.
Exactly.
And your show, let's quickly talk about your Celestial Encounters podcast on Rumble.
Mm-hmm. That is where I interview people. They can share their stories. I had one guest say, I asked her, because we were talking about what, am I going to talk about? I said, well, we said this before. What did you think we were talking about? She came up with something totally different. She goes, but this is your show. No, it's your show. It's like, this is your interview. What message do you want to bring? I said, my only agenda is celestial encounters.
Yeah.
So whether it's near-death experience, I had someone interviewed that crop circles and her extraterrestrial experience with the crop circles. And also we're doing, 2 interviews, because then she had completely different experience with extraterrestrials. And I've had a few people call in. This one woman called in, and it was really strange because her different extraterrestrial experiences people have similar yet varied experiences. And that's what I want to bring out to help lower the stigma that, it's that people are having this. This is actually real, instead of just me. They're going, oh, there's a crazy lady again talking about how she thinks she's, which I've had the UFO community say about me. But let's bring out the number of people. And I even have an option of audio only if people do not want to have their face on there because of their position in their community, or they don't want to be singled out. Anonymity, you don't even have to use your name, but if you want to get your story out and share it, that's what I do with Celestial Encounters.
Awesome. And some crazy talk show or podcast hosts out there, because I told you about my encounter, some weeks ago. When I was here at home and stuff, the red, the one that showed its face, and and it was like red. It was like kind of like what's that? The salmon colored flesh, face and stuff like that. And then kind of like that. And then like the white. Kind of like not like the bone in the face, but you can kind of see like the white blotches or the white specks down the forehead and under here. Yeah, it's like, whoa. And then it just walked off. It's like, okay, hello. But after talking about it and being, discussing it for so long and being around people that, it's just, when you do experience it, it's like, oh, where have you been hiding? When normally other people would just think we're wacko, freaking scared to hell and freaking run for the hills.
Exactly. And it's by people talking about it, like you, like me, and other people saying that, I've had these experiences, and then there's some people saying, oh, I've only seen UFOs. I want to see the extraterrestrials. In time, you will.
Mm-hmm. In time.
In time.
And when you're ready for it, too, because some people aren't ready for it. And they know that. They know whether people are ready or not.
When the extraterrestrials make their big debut, their we call it a grand opening, grand appearance, whether you're ready or not, they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing really it's the fear of the unknown. The unknown always makes people nervous. It makes them scared. But, there are times when I still find that, okay, when I leave this earthly shell, I get a little nervous. I thought, wait a minute, Gloria, you've done this how many times? But I came in just, it's a 3D body and you sort of forget these things, and I can still take, my little trips and everything. And it's like, I want to stay here. Then they come back to the 3D body. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So before we wrap up the show, what would you like to leave our audience as a takeaway?
Everything you contribute to this world is significant. You might think that we're not seen, we're not heard. You are. People are watching, people are listening. They may not tell you. We don't need to have, even though we like the external approval and validation, we don't need it. Yeah. Because we have our own internal validation and approval. And yes, it's nice to have people who have had similar experiences than we have had, but just know, stay true to yourself, and that whatever you contribute is significant.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Yeah. Gloria, namaste. Blessings, my friend. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
Blessings to you.
Thank you. And everybody, go check out Gloria Haas's work. You can find her on Linktree, Gloria Haas Books. Again, Gloria Haas Books, and you'll find all that information in the show description. And yeah, I would say may the force be with you, but that's another movie. But
it's always with us.
Exactly. I was going to say a Star Trek thing, but I'm like, live long and prosper, my friend.
You too.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the seance, and we will see you next week.